I don't even think you really know what a bad day is. But you're gonna find out.
Just had a chance to check out the new Russell Crowe flick called Unhinged, where Russell Crowe plays a complete psycho stalker in the vein of Michael Douglas back in that film called Falling Down. Similarities there. This guy has obviously had something that has created mass trauma in his life, and he is a broken, psychotic individual, and he stalks this family led by the mom, played by Caren Pistorius, who he accidentally encounters in gridlock. And what we see in this movie is a lot of people racing around in cars until they can't, because there are traffic jams everywhere, and the traffic really gets under the skin of the characters, but also you. It's very effective as you're watching these scenes transpire where people are trying to get away or get to someplace quickly and they can't. It's all stop and go, and it's infuriating, and it's also a pretty effective statement on how bad traffic is in a lot of cities out there. Anyway, Russell Crowe, because he just has this hatred for humanity, starts to unravel when he encounters this mom and her kid, and then says, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you know what a bad day is, and he just pursues her. So it's a little bit, in parts, like Steven Spielberg's classic movie Duel, where we've got a truck and a car kind of facing off against each other, and it's like vehicular, you know? The tension is all about these vehicles coming in on each other. And of course, Russell Crowe, as big and bad and menacing as he is on screen, and he's such a terrific actor. He really has no problems inhabiting this role and really freaking you out. He really does look like this psycho, but he also drives this monstrous-sized truck that just looks menacing on the road, and it's all, you know, filmed from low angles, and it just looks larger than everything else on the road, and it's very effective. It's also got a really muscly type engine rev as well, so the truck will just roll into scenes, and it's just like, oh my god, that thing is terrifying. And you know, I was along for the ride, and the tension was actually ratcheted up quite nicely at the beginning of the film. You know, we get a sense of the family life for a bit, and then mom's got to drop the kid off at school, and they're racing to make it there in time, and of course the traffic's all there, and all of that played quite realistically. And this happens a lot in these kind of horror type thriller films, where there eventually has to be some kind of demonic act, some really awful crime, some violent crime is committed, and you kind of have to lose your sense of disbelief. Like, certainly violent crime happens every day in cities all over the place, and we hear about it on the news all the time, but it kind of lacked credibility when we got to a certain scene where Russell Crowe commits a heinous murder in front of a whole bunch of people, and there is no effort by any of the people, and there's a lot of people around this murder, but nobody stands up to him, nobody races over to, you know, help or try to get in the way or anything, and Russell Crowe just does this murder and then gets in his truck and drives off, and the cops seem so out of touch and out of time. And of course, the other thing that happens too, because the movie kind of needs it to kind of escalate the fear and the tension, is all of the earlier notions of how traffic is brutal and it's just hard to get anywhere in the city at the beginning of the film, and certainly you could apply that to its rush hour timing or whatever, but a lot of that gets stripped away, and Russell Crowe seems to have no problem navigating through traffic and catching up with our hapless protagonists who are just running for their lives. And so a lot of that sort of preamble and setup with the traffic seems to disappear, and also the cops can never seem to be anywhere near what's going on, which was a bit silly. But you know, with all of these thrillers / horror type pictures like this, you're always picking apart the reality of the situation and how effective the scenes are put together. It's pretty easy to kind of look at this trailer and look at this footage and kind of know how you're going to feel when you watch the film. And I think that this would be a different experience for people going to a theater and watching it on the big screen than it was for me to sit in my little game / movie space there and watch it on my TV. But I have to admit, I was pulled in. It was effective. The performances are all pretty solid. The kids are good. The mom, Caren Pistorius, does a great job. Certainly pulled through the ringer in this movie. Russell Crowe, he's certainly not making the movies that we we all think that he should be because we know him from LA Confidential and, of course, Gladiator. We're very far removed from those days with a movie like this, but God, he's a good actor. Compelling to watch on screen, and he delivers in this role, in this performance. It does feel a little beneath his capabilities, but you know what? It's an effective thriller, and there's some decent moments in this movie for sure. It certainly doesn't revolutionize the genre. It's certainly not the best one of these that has ever been made, and in fact, I think that Falling Down kind of analyzed the idea of road rage going out of control a little bit more effectively, partially because of the culture at the time. It was a movie that really benefited from being a part of a cultural moment. But this one really feels like it's kind of capitalizing on people's fears and concerns as they hit the crowded roadways in cities all over the world, especially during hot summer months. It's also a little bit weird to see the screen so crowded with people and people so close together and out to eat like everything is normal while we're in the middle of this pandemic. Certainly the pressures and the stresses exhibited in the movie are different from what we're all kind of facing in real life every day, but it sort of taps into that anxiousness for sure. It wasn't joyful entertainment, but it was effective entertainment. I had a pretty good time watching this, and it was competently made for sure. I'm going to give Unhinged a 7 out of 10.